Hey guys, what's up and welcome back. The season for StarCraft is about to end. It's going to end on Friday, Jan 5th. And what I wanted to do was just for fun go over a replay of my favorite game of the season so far. This is a 30-minute TVT that got to late game, and I'm just really happy with how this game went. It's a really cool game. So let's go ahead and take a look here. I'm at the top right corner in blue. Got Nicholas in the bottom left corner in red. And basically, we're both going to play a biotank style macro game. So we're doing our 16, 16, 17 double gas opener with a scout. Our opponent scouts around for proxies on his side of the map. Our SCV gets chased down by his Reaper. This is before we had our build kind of fully optimized, so the way I was doing gas pull and resaturating minerals and gas wasn't exactly perfect in this game, like I like it to be, but all good. We are doing our opener of 2 Reaper, 2 Cyclone, 2 Raven. So opponent's going to pressure the front with Reaper Hellion, but we know our comp is good against Reaper Hellion. He kills my Marines before I can get him in the bunker, but that's okay. Marines are expendable. And then we're doing our macro transition, which is drop the third CC, second and third racks, and the E-base at the same time. Putting our tanks in a nice defensive position. Don't know what his Raven is doing here. Don't know why he threw the Raven out. So his macro is going a little faster than mine. He's already got his third CC on location. We're going to do my push, my 1-1 push. So 1-1 just finished. We hang out until he's got the air advantage, and then we just go home. And then only now we're going to take our third. So he scares us away with his Vikings. He loads up a drop. We're getting our fourth and fifth racks in our second factory. So our 3-base setup, handle that drop no problem. And then he's going to take his fourth. I've got my sensor tower down. And then now we're like in the good part of the game. We're in like the tank Viking part of the game. We're both going to 2-2 bio. Scanning and probing. He's got his 4 bases set up. I was able to jump on his tanks before they got sieged up. I've got my tanks in a nice defensive position. I really like the way I have my tanks positioned in this game. My third is really well defended. He's got his fourth set up good. I'm going to land my fourth now. Lots of scans, lots of Marine tank. We're both going up to 3-3. He's got a really intimidating tank Viking army. We're both maxed out. And then here's kind of a key point in the game where I do 4 medevacs worth of Marines, and I try to deny his upgrades. So I basically sniped his 3-3 right before it finished. So I'm gonna have, and like the upgrades are really nice right now. I got my 3-3 and +2. I just sniped his 3-3, and I think I killed one of his armories too while it was producing something. He's already got fusion core. He did that for lib range. And then in terms of production structures, like if I look at structures, right now I'm in blue. I am on a 5-2-3, which is how I like to play mid game out. He is on a 7-3-2. So he's got 3 factories, 2 starports, more barracks. And I think I play the whole game out on this production structure. I added my second armory, and I'm going to start going into air weapons now. And I got to start taking these extra bases over here. He's already got this mined out, and he's got an orbital down there. So this is where the game is currently at after we had just achieved an upgrade advantage for ourselves. And I think we also killed a starport too. So he was probably on a 7-3-3, and I think we killed one of his starports. And maybe this one burns down. That would be nice if it did. Looks like he manages to save that one. Oh, does it burn down? Nice, it burns down. Okay. All right, so we're still maxed out. We're getting our building upgrades plus our 1-1 air. He restarted 3-3. And then now we're trying to play siege style, right? So we've got our bio tank and we've got our Vikings, and we're going to try and micro our Vikings. All right, so just picking off stuff on the edges, trying to bait the bio into our tank range. We tried to do a little corner drop. Okay, we lose the air advantage, and then it's time to leave. Okay, so all right, so basically I neglected to start 2-2 air. His 2-2 air is about to finish. So if I look at the upgrades, I'm going to have a disadvantage in air, and I've got an advantage in building building armor and turret range, and I've got the +2 vehicle weapons. And I'm basically rallying my army to this portion of the map here every time. So like we've got this base, and this base with sensor towers. He's got this base, and this base with sensor towers. He's about to take the gold, and I've been mining from the rich Vespine. This is about to turn into a planetary. So that was a bit of a throw from his side. Reset his army. He's taking the gold base now. We're getting our 2-2 air. We're going to start adding command centers. Okay, 2-2 air finished up. We added an extra armory. And then now we're doing what I like to call the victory lap, which is we're going to get +3/+3/+3 mech. I was kind of out of position, but that Raven and our armor missile kind of pushed him back a little bit. Throw my army away there into his tanks. He's maxed out. I'm remaxing. That's the last base that we want to take. So right now we should be focused on taking the gold. We have to give up this base because he outpositioned us there on that side of the map. Just keeping track of his army. Our mech is about to finish being upgraded. So now it's his turn to do a quad drop into the main. We saw that though and go back for it. My tanks are kind of on an island there, but rally everything back together. Lots of scans. We're looking for each other's armies. And then basically this boils down to I kept making Vikings. Because the tanks just eviscerate the bio armies. And then now that he's in like a transition, trying to rebuild his army, I can take these edge bases out. So many scans. And really, at the end of the game, it was just having the air army advantage. So I had 25 Vikings. The massive bio just became less and less important because when you siege up a huge clump of tanks, the bio just evaporates. And then what I like so much about this game is it was played on like even footing, right? So if I look at the upgrades are dead even. Like we did the exact same thing. We did uh, bio opener into bio tank, and we prioritized all the same upgrades. We used the fusion core the same way for lib range and medevac reactor. And then I was getting smart servos at the end there to land the Vikings. So I was going to have one more upgrade than him. And then in terms of structures, uh, I played that whole game basically on like a 5-2-3, and then eventually at the end of the game I was going up to supposed to be an 8-3-5. I guess I screwed up and added an extra I got one more racks than I needed and one more starport than I needed. So I was just adding extra stuff. The only thing I needed at the end of this game was I needed 3 extra racks, a factory, and a starport. 2 starports I wanted, and I ended up getting 4 racks. I had 1, 2, 3. I only had 3 extra orbitals. I ended up landing those as my edge bases. The only base that I couldn't hold was this one. And then he built a bunch of extra orbitals too. He had, like, these should all be planetaries, right? On the mineral lines, but he had 3 extra orbitals there. And then I killed some extra orbitals over here. So, yeah, I mean, for me, this game was awesome. I can't believe this dude didn't GG out. He also, like, did he do any depot drops? Did he do any call down supplies? Yeah, he did some. He did at least 2 call down supplies plus had extra bases. I don't think I had to do that. Yeah, so I have my depots exactly like I like them. I've got the 2 in the wall, the 1 in the back, which could optionally be like over here for vision of the Reaper jump spot as the 3rd depot, and then all the other depots are behind the natural, which is where I like it because you can see the action. The action never really gets to the back of your natural, and if it does, you've probably lost the game. So that's definitely the best place to put all your depots. I've been having a problem putting the extra upgrade structures here in late game scenarios where they try to base trade, actually. They'll go for that, and they'll try to snipe the fusion core at the end of the game. But in general, I really like this. I just really like the setup, and I really like how this game played out. Like, it's fun to just play the bio tank where the game hinges on air control, and you can see here the opponent's got 12 orbitals at this point, right? When the number that we're going for is like 10, right? So he's got, and for him it should be planetary. So he can basically have the bases like he has with planetaries where he needs them and still have all the orbitals that he had. He even had more than that. And you could see how much he was scanning. And then in terms of efficiency, for units lost, we out traded by 18K, which is just like, you know, such a cool game. Like, look, like opponents got a humongous gas bank, and the difference is at the end of the game, I continued to build Vikings, and he overbuilt Marines, and that was basically the only difference. I'm not sure how to read the economy per minute. Yeah, so like I'm mining more minerals, but he's mining way more gas. Is that what's going on? So are we both? Yeah, we're both mined out of the first 3, and then he's mined out of 4. I'm also mined out of 4. So 1, 2, 3. The first 4 bases are all mined out. That leaves us with 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there should still be 4 healthy bases for each of us. So that base is good for him. He's mining out of the gold. He's mining out of that one, and I don't think he started mining that one at all. So there's still lots to be mined on the map. Like basically, we're only half mined out of our sides in a 30-minute game, and we traded more efficiently with the tank Viking. And let's go back to the fight here in the middle. Yeah, this is going to be it. So this is going to be the decisive fight here. So we've already traded about 10k better at this point. And then if I look at the units, we completely took out his air army, and it's 20 tanks to 7, 52 Marines to 95. And that's kind of the key difference is at this point in the game, there's essentially no difference between 100 Marines and 50 Marines when the tanks are sieged. So we pull back, siege, and then the back line of tanks takes his Marine count from 95 down to 0 in an instant, right? Yes, we lost all our Marines too. We went from 50 Marines down to 6. He went from 95 Marines down to 1. But our tank count, we only lost the 6. We had 20 tanks. We lost 6 in the front row. But all the tanks in the back row are firing, right? So like that one's got 10 kills. 12 on that one. 22 on that one. Right, so all these tanks in the back row got shots off. And then we went from the 10k advantage. Still just a 10k advantage, I guess because Marines are cheap. But then I guess it's when we clean up the bases that we gain an extra advantage in efficiency here. Yeah, so it's the cleanup of the non-grouped army at the end where the advantage snowballs. Yeah, just such a cool game. Like he's got gas, but I guess Vikings are both expensive in mineral and gas, right? Because 10 Vikings costs it's 150 for a Viking, so 10 Vikings cost 1500 in minerals. So what's he producing? And he is producing 4 Vikings, but he's got way more starports than that, right? Oh, is he only on 2 starports? Yeah, so at the end of the game here, he has only 2 starports. I have 4 and I want 5. So he's building as many Vikings as he can. He's building 4, but it was really the Viking advantage that helped there. Also, what's interesting is the Vespine geyser here for the rich Vespine counts as its own thing. That's kind of cool. So I've got 10 regular geysers and 1 rich Vespine geyser. That's really neat. I never noticed that before. So 5 base on this map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I should have this gas also. But yeah, Alcyone is the big map that I like because you can kind of ignore these bases over here and just focus on the 6 base setup for the high ground, like we discussed in our maps overview. And then this base is so far out of the way that it's hard for them to contest it, right? It's kind of like a get it and forget it type of base. Whereas on this side, this base is kind of in the push path that they would want to take to contest these 2 bases. So they're going to contest these bases over here, and then they've cut this one off. But over here, it's a lot harder to contest this base and also cut that one off you see that's what we did at the very end of the game, right? At the very end of the game, we killed this base, and then we rotated up to kill that base. But we could only do that when we caught him in a spot where he was rebuilding his army and we weren't. But yeah, I think there was a lot of good moments in the game where like we used our ravens pretty well to like disengage, like throw an anti-armor missile out and use that to disengage from a fight. Or in the beginning of the game, we used interference matrices to take fights. And then in mid game, we didn't even really use liberators how we're supposed to be using them. We just kind of used our Viking advantage and microed the Vikings and hold position with the bio tank. So when we talk about the slide that we went over, to go over like the overall Terran biotank Sky Terran strategy, this game like perfectly represents exactly how we wanted to do that. So yeah, I mean this one was so much fun. I'm just gonna run through this again at 8 speed. Because again, these replays are like for me as much as anybody else. You can watch it from his perspective. So he's scouting his side of the map. I get in there and see everything, but his Reaper cleans me up. And then he goes for like a fast third, which is why his economy is so much better than mine at the beginning of the game. He also goes for Raven with the upgrade. Mine's a little faster. Oh no, that wasn't his third. That was his natural. So he just built his natural on the high ground. At the beginning of the game, it does seem like he's macroing a little faster. So like, how did that trade go? So that trade was a little more efficient for me. I kept my tanks. And I recognize as soon as I lose the air battle that it's time to go. So I save my tanks there. This is where he loads up his drop. He's basically just building Tank Viking. He's building additional command centers. He's going up to 3 factory. Kind of rallying to the same spot, right? You kind of rally near your third. Another good fight for me over there at the top of the map. My +2 attack finished like during that fight. So now these are the structures that I end up taking out, right? This is +1 air weapons and +3/+3. So getting the deny on that +3/+3 was huge. Here I have a good position. If I had a Liberator, I could have taken these tanks out. He gets enough Vikings to send it back to neutral. Goes into my choke. So again, another situation where the advantage here is like really far in my favor, right? We're trading basically 2 for 1 in efficiency at this point in the game. And then on the base count, I think are we even or 1 ahead? No, we're even, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. I took that as my 5th. So my 4th and my 5th are completely healthy. My 3rd is half mined out. And then I'm working on my 6th over here. He's got 1, 2. His 3rd's almost completely mined out. His 4th is half mined out. And then his 5th is healthy, and he's got the gold for his 6th. Right now, he's got no, like, 17 tanks to 0, right? Like, right now, our army is obviously way, way better. And then he's making libs. Should definitely cancel those libs and make Vikings instead. That's where I throw the anti-armor missile to disengage. He opens up the middle of the map. He kills a lot of my stuff there with his siege tanks. And then he cleans up these 2 bases. But he can't go up there. He loads up that drop, but we see that and we take that out. Then here's the decisive fight where we kill all his Marines. And we still have Tank Viking left over, which can pressure his bases. And then now his army is disjointed. Just such a fun game. Like, this was played on December 19th. Today is January 3rd. And the season ends on Jan 5th. And I just wanted to make a video of, for me, what I thought the best game for the season for me was 30-minute TVT banger, where basically it's like a completely even match, right? And that's what I like. Like, our upgrades are exactly the same. I got smart servos on the way. Denied his +3/+3 bio, which bought me some time. And, we basically both played split map. We each were on 7 out of 8 bases for most of the end game, basically. Like, the only bases that we weren't taking were these 2 back here. Oh man, just exactly what I'm looking for. I mean, when I put together this content for YouTube and made the slide deck and the spreadsheet and all that, this is exactly what it was for, because I wanted to be able to win games exactly like this that came down to biotank, where I was so tired of losing games where I had 100 Marines, right? And just threw them all away. And then now I can play the game where I've got 20 Vikings, I've got 20 tanks. The Marine count is not meaningless, but it is meaningless in a heads-up fight. Like, the way to use Marines in that situation is now like Zerglings, where you want to like take a handful of Marines and run them out to the edge bases, right, to distract, and then abuse an F2er like me. So like, if he took 40 of those Marines and attacked this base with that, I would have to F2 back here, and then he could take his whole army and kill my gold base, basically, right? So, I mean, this is why we're still like a 3K player and not a 4K player, is because we're F2ing around, but we want to be in these late game scenarios and TVT and TVZ where we know how to work with 16 production structures, basically. Like, I guess I don't have everything hotkeyed at this point, but we want to be playing in TVT Biotank Skyterran. We want to be playing off our 835. In TVZ, we want to be playing off of our 583, right? And then in TVP, we don't really have any good examples of late game split map, because in TVP late game split map, we're playing against their Skytoss Gateway army, and Skytoss Gateway armies, where it's like, if they have Carrier, Mothership, Tempest, and then on the ground they've got like High Templar, we can't fight that. Like, we don't know how to fight those armies yet. But in TVZ, if they've got Ultra or Broodlord or Lurker backed up with like either Ling Bane, Hydra, like Hydra Lurker, Roach Ravager, like the fighting units, along with Spellcasters, Viper and Fester, or if they try to do Swarm Hosts or any of that kind of stuff, like, we can fight against all the TVZ late game units. And then in TVT, we can get into these Biotank Skyterran situations, or our Biotank Skyterran can beat them if they're playing like just like straight up power mech, like Tank Thor. We can win that. And if we have this many 3-3 Vikings and they try to do like a BC switch, we can also just beat that, because if they try to do a BC switch like that, we're going to have an upgrade advantage essentially. So like something has to give, and that's usually what it is. And the way that we're getting beat in TVT transitions from mid game to late game is if they've been saving up BCs. So if they make it look like a standard biotank game and we play it too passively and don't go in for a quick kill at like 11 minutes, and they've just banked up like 10 plus BCs, they're up to like 16 BCs, that's when they can just jump into our base and kill us. So basically what they'll do is they'll wait till they take a trade, they take a decent trade with everything but their BCs, and then they jump into BCs, and we're like, ah, shit, we're just fucking dead. But if they try to transition into BCs and use BCs as fighting units, we can just beat that with our Vikings now and our upgraded bio. So, yeah, just in general, the gameplay patterns have gotten so much more interesting. Even though our MMR hasn't like increased that much, we're still playing at mainly 3.1K is our average MMR. With a floor of 2.9K and a ceiling of 3.2. But for the most part, our average MMR is like 3.1K with a losing record in TVP, but our TVP is getting a lot better also, because what we're doing now is if it's Twilight first, we're just going 1 Raven, 3 tank, or just tanks. We're going 1 Raven and tanks against Twilight first opener. And then we can we're not playing like passive, but we can let them throw their stalkers away at our sieged up tanks. And that's been working out pretty good. And that also deals with DT bullshit, just having the 1 Raven and then keep the Raven alive. But if they go like Gateway Man style and go like Charge Lot Blink Stalker heavy with Splash, that's pretty hard to deal with. We try to play that standard with just like 4M and then Viking, right? We'll play that like 4M and Viking, or we'll play that Biotank Viking, and that can work out fine. And then we haven't had a single game where we've played through a Protoss Death Ball and then into Sky Toss and then won. The only time we beat Sky Toss is if they transition to Sky Toss early, like if it's still like a mid-game transition to Sky Toss, and that's way too early and we identify it, we just switch to Biotank Viking, and then we're able to just kill their bases and starve them out. So, man, StarCraft 2, such an incredible game. This type of game, this 30-minute TVT banger, is basically is why we're here, why we're doing this on YouTube. You know, if anybody watches this, I thank you so much. But for the most part, it's really just for me to have fun and go back and look back on, periods where I'm, this is the game that I'm into right now. I have a lot of fun doing the theorycraft portion of it, right? And then executing on a game like this where we basically hit our game plan exactly. We go for +3/+3 and +2 vehicle weapons. Then we transition into air weapons. We even did our +2/+2 air weapons late, right? We could have stayed on parity with our opponent the whole time with the air upgrades, but we started our +2/+2 late. But it didn't really matter. In the mid game, he was building Vikings, and then for some reason he decided to stop. And then we just kept building Vikings all the way mid game through late game, and we did our best to micro them in certain situations where we could, and did not rely on our bio. Right, we just used our bio to cover for our tanks, which is exactly how we're supposed to do it. And we wiped out that bio ball of 95 Marines. He didn't even have medevacs with that. All he had like 6 tanks and 95 Marines. And we had bio, which is Marine medevac, right? No Marauders, so Marine medevac. We had 20 tanks, we had 20 something Vikings, and just basically evaporated his army. And that's exactly how we like to do it, because we've been on the losing end of that way too many times, and it just feels amazing to be on the plus side. So anyway, thanks for watching through the ramblings. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is going to wrap the season up, and we're going to take better track of our statistics going into next season, the map scores and the race scores. So thanks a lot, guys. Take care.